has been one of the most productive backs in the National Football League ever since he set foot off the campus at Tulane and into the Chicago Bears fold, now entering his 8th NFL season. Pleased to have on the Rich Eisen Show, Matt Forte. How are you, Matt?
Good. Thanks for that great introduction, too.
Well, I left something out, too. Would you like to hear something that I left out?
Yeah, what's that?
Let me start once again. He's entering his 8th season in the National Football League, one of the most productive backs since stepping off the field at Tulane and into the fold of the Chicago Bears, and the lead producer on my last 2 fantasy teams. Please welcome to the program, Matt Forte.
Well, that's what matters the most, especially your fantasy football team.
Let me tell you something, Matt. You are a productive back when it comes to that. No question about it.
I appreciate it.
So that said, last year, not as productive as the year before. Now you've got Adam Gase at the controls of this offense with a new head coach, John Fox. How will this offense look any different than what we've seen over the last couple of years?
I believe it'll look a lot different. You know, Coach Fox is a run-first type of guy, and Adam is a balanced type of coordinator where he likes to run the ball and, obviously put off of the pass with that. And he has a lot of good schemes with that. So I'm excited about this year being that it's not just talking about, hey, yeah, we're going to run the ball. I think it's pretty obvious that Coach Fox is adamant about running the ball more this year.
What did happen the last year, at least, where it seemed as if handing off the football was against the rules sometimes, Matt?
I don't know. I didn't call the plays those years, but we just got to wait for the run, and it's tough to win games when you do that. Everybody has that cliche saying, "Yeah, it's a passing league," but the teams who are continuously successful and go in the playoffs and go deep in the playoffs and onto the Super Bowl have been balanced offenses where they have established that run, and the running games have kept them able to control the clock and be able to run out the clock in games where they have to do that. They ahead of the lead. So, anytime you pass the ball too much, you put a lot of pressure on the quarterback to make plays, and it's just tough doing that.
Well, it's so rare to see a bell cow back in the league, one who, like yourself, rarely comes off the field, on the field all 3 downs, every single possession. Are you going to be in a situation this year where you have fewer carries, fewer touches, in order to keep a little bit more tread on the tire for the whole 16-game regular season stretch, Matt?
I just got my tires rotated, so I think I'm good on that.
I like it.
So, but yeah, I grew up watching, bell cow running backs. That's the kind of era that I grew up watching, and that's what I wanted to be growing up. And so I continue to work on every facet of, the running back, where you run, block, and catch, and do all that. So, I want to be on the field when it's most important, when we need to have plays being made. And so, I've always worked at that. I've been doing that since I've been in the NFL, so I want to continue to do that as well.
I guess I should have just come straight through the front door. Matt, I choose 8th overall in my fantasy draft this year. Do I take you if you're sitting there 8th overall with the new offense? Do I go ahead and do that first round, Matt?
I think that's a no-brainer. If I'm Rich Eisen, I'm doing that.
Well, if you're Rich Eisen, you're not playing football. You're doing. Well, that's obvious, I guess, in that regard. And you're certainly running the 40 a lot faster than I do, Matt.
Yeah, you're the fastest man in the suit, though. You got that one going for you.
Well, certainly, since the other people in suits are Berman, James Brown, Costas. Although DP Dan Patrick thinks he's faster than me, Matt.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that matchup. I don't know. Dan Patrick may have you in the age category, but I don't know. I think you might have him in the speed category.
Okay. I am now in that regard, Matt. You're 29 years of age, and everybody says 30 is the year that running backs start declining. Where do you stand on that, and how you feel being 29 years old?
Well, it's a good thing I'm 29 and not 30. So,
well, you do turn 30 right in the middle of December, though, Matt.
Yeah, it's in December, though. It's at the end of the year, so it doesn't really count. So I'll be good. I've always taken a lot of good care of my body, and I've been able to do that over the years. And I have a good routine going for me where I do a lot of, prehab and physical therapy and stuff after the game. So I feel really good right now in the middle of camp, and so I'm going to keep going with that.
Well, Adrian Peterson's not even going to see the field in preseason. Some coaches don't believe that their first-string backs need time on the field in the preseason. What are your thoughts? How much are we going to see you in the preseason on the field, Matt?
I normally play a little bit. I don't really play a whole lot, but you do have to get, I guess, accustomed to, live full speed and a couple of tackles here and there. So, I do play in the preseason, but I don't play a whole entire lot, like a whole quarter or half or something like that, like I used to.
Matt Forte, Bears running back, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Your former teammate, now at the Jets, Brandon Marshall, said that he was the only person in the Bears organization who had the quote-unquote huevos to hold Jay Cutler accountable last year. What do you think of when you hear that comment, Matt?
I hear a lot of animosity and a lot of just bad feelings, just coming from that relationship there. He was in Denver with Jay, and then he switched teams then, and then he came here, and things didn't work out. And when stuff doesn't work out, sometimes feelings are let out like that. And I don't think that's the case. That everybody was held accountable. I don't see how he could say that because sometimes Brandon couldn't hold himself accountable. So it's tough to even say that.
So was there an issue with him flying back and forth to go be part of the paparazzi at all last year, Matt?
I didn't have an issue with it as long as he would, get back in time, was taking care of his body and, come to play every Sunday. But I guess a lot of other people had, issue with that and thought that his mind wasn't on football first. And whenever people start to question that, you have to answer that question. So,
And was there a problem with the coach just letting him do that? I mean, I'm just wondering what the ripple effect was in the locker room based on that.
Yeah, I think, if a coach didn't like that, I think he his best bet was to be able to come out and say that and be able to express that to him. And, at that point, I don't think it was really expressed to him, so whether to, I guess not do that or continue to do that. So, it's a tough call on that one. But, I don't think Coach Trestman really held him accountable either on that aspect. So we had a lot of accountability issues going on last year.
Well, in that regard, too, Matt, I'm on the phone with Matt Forte. If you did dust for prints on the 2014 Bears season and its demise, many people believe you would still find Jay Cutler's fingerprints somewhere on the team. And in that regard, I'd like to give you the floor and tell me what type of leader he is, because on the outside looking in, there's all sorts of questions about that, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all had a part in it last year, whether it was players or even coaches, and the way the season went. So it's a full team. There's no pointing fingers at one person or anything like that, like it's his fault or something like that. So as far as what you're saying, like what kind of leader Jay is, I think he's a good leader, for our offense. He has to be because he's the quarterback. But I think it takes more than just him. It's going to be me. Alshon's going to have to step up, and Eddie Royal this year, and Martellus. We're going to all have to be leaders, even off the line. Jamar's going to have to, Bushwide's going to have to take control, and Slauson, along with Kyle Long and those guys. So we're going to all have to step up and be leaders, especially for the offense, but more importantly, the entire team, and set an example for everybody.
And Kevin White, what's the scoop on his readiness? We haven't really gotten to see very much of the rookie chosen to top the draft.
Yeah, I'm still waiting too. I'm not the trainer or anything like that, so we're just continuing to wait. I know he has an issue with his shin, so obviously if you got problems with the legs, you got to be able to run. So I guess they're just taking it, one day at a time. And I guess with a young guy, a first-round ticket and everything, and a lot of it expected out of him, you don't want to, get him out on the field and re-injure anything. So, hopefully he gets everything healed up 100%. And right now, he's learning a lot, which he needs to do if you're not playing, right now. So he needs to learn the entire playbook so that when he gets out there, there's no learning curve where he has to stop and think about what's going on.
And
the only problem is that he's not getting as many live reps.
Right. And who do you stop and watch in the NFL at your position, Matt? Who's the running back that you drop the remote on?
I watch a lot of guys. I like watching, all the running backs, really. A lot of guys that came out of my class with, and guys performing. Adrian, watch him. Le'Veon Bell, who's we got the same age, and he's young kid coming up in this league, and I think he's going to be really good again this year because he's a bell cow type of running back who can stay on the field on all downs as well. So, like watching his film. LaShawn, DeMarco, all those guys.
And
Jamal.
Yeah, well, boy, your name. You just went down the depth chart of almost every team. So you're a fan of running backs, is basically what you're saying. But I'm eighth overall selection. I take you, is what you're saying. If you're still sitting there for some way.
Only if I'm there.
No, I understand that. Did you see what happened with Geno Smith getting hit in the chops by one of his teammates? Did you hear about that? What do you think of when you hear something like that? What's your first thought?
I mean, that's uncommon. Usually if, you have something happen, it's on the field or something like that, there's fights in camp because it's camp, fights happen. But for it to be taken off the field, that's a whole different monster there. There must be some other issues going on with that. So I don't know what's going on, but you hate to see that, especially with a guy that's the quarterback. You don't want to ever have that happen because, he's the quarterback. He kind of has to lead the offense. So that's a tough deal that they have to deal with.
Yeah, the fact that anybody would take a swing at him is what people in New York are wondering what's going on there. That anyone would feel free to go ahead of the first string quarterback and actually swipe at him.
Right. They got a lot of questions to answer after that.
Hey, Matt, look, I really appreciate you taking the time, calling in, and for carrying my fantasy team last couple of years, including to the championship 2 years ago. So for that, I sincerely thank you, but even more importantly for calling into the show. I hope we get you back soon.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
You bet. That's Matt Forte.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.